Would please start to find your seat.
Mayor Baxter,
Present.
Commissioner Flores, Commissioner Marino. Here. Commissioner Powell. Commissioners. Thank you. Commissioner Sachs. Commissioner Weiss.
Here.
Vice Mayor Woodward.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a request by Commissioner Flores to attend virtually. I will entertain a motion. I have a motion by Commissioner Woodward. Second. I have a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 5-0. 6-0. Good morning, and please let the record reflect Commissioner Sachs is here. Is Commissioner Flores?
I'm here.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
If you are able, please stand for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. All right.
Dear God, we are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, its challenges. We pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties, for each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Administrator, do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions?
We do. Thank you, Madam Mayor. On page 16, 3C4 is a revised motion and title. On page 84, 4A is a deletion. On page 84, 4C is a revised proclamation. On page 84, 4H is a revision. On page 109, 6F9 is a revised motion and title. On page 114, 6H1 is a revised motion. That is all, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Administrator. I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. So moved. I have a motion by Commissioner Woodward, a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor? Excuse me, Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 6-0. Would anyone like to pull anything from consent? Nothing from consent. Okay.
Motion to approve consent.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Woodward to approve consent, a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 6-0.
Would that be 6-0 or 7-0?
7-0, excuse me. Commissioner Flores is virtual. Moving on to special presentations. Is someone doing a National Intern Day for you, Commissioner Flores? Or it's canceled? Perfect. Okay. We are going to start then. I'm going to take the first, I'm going to do Commissioner Flores' United States 250th birthday proclamation, and then we will go in order from there. If you have joined us today for America's 250th anniversary, please come forward to the podium on my right.
People are parking.
No worries. Good morning, guys. it is not every day we get to celebrate America's birthday, right? Once a year. But 250th anniversary is just extra special. So we have a proclamation here today that we are July 4th, 2026. The United States of America commemorated the 250th anniversary of the adoption of the Declaration of Independence, a defining moment in our nation's history that proclaimed the ideals of liberty, equality, self-government, and the pursuit of happiness. Whereas for 2.5 centuries, generations of Americans have worked to build, defend, strengthen, and improve our nation, guided by the principles of democracy, freedom, opportunity, and civic responsibility. Whereas the 250th anniversary of the United States provides an opportunity for residents to reflect on the courage and vision of our nation's founders, honor the sacrifices of those who have served our country, and recognize the contributions of all who have helped shape the American story. Whereas Palm Beach County is home to residents of many cultures, backgrounds, and walks of life, whose shared commitment to the community services progress reflects the enduring promise of the United States. Whereas this historic milestone encourages all residents to celebrate our nation's achievements, learn from our past, participate in civic life, and recommit ourselves to the values that unite us as Americans. Whereas we mark 250 years of independence, we look toward the future with gratitude, hope, and a renewed dedication to create a more perfect union for generations to come. Now therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this 7th day of July, that the board celebrates the 250th anniversary of the United States. Okay. This country is built by so many amazing people. And if you're a veteran here today, please stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much for your service and what you've done for this country. Would you like to come up and say a few words?
As a proud American, I'm honored to be here. And thank you, Mayor Baxter, Commissioner Baxter, for this proclamation. Once again, it's an honor to be here, and I love the state of Florida. Thank you.
All right, while we take pictures, if someone would like to do next on the list, I know my D6, just skip mine and I'll come back to that one. And if they did part, they want to come up. We're going to take a picture of facing this.
Remember the other day.
More pictures. Hold two. There we go.
Should we look mean?
No. Look at big smile.
Okay, do the thumbs up. Thank
Oh,
you.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. May I have the individuals from Rhonda's Promise Incorporated please approach the well. It is indeed such a pleasure to be here this morning. Today, with us, my 2011 Leadership Palm Beach County classmate, Rhonda Rogers, and her team are here. What do we have with you? Wall's here. This consists of her board and her clients. Today, we recognize the 5th anniversary of Rhonda's Promise Incorporated. Whereas Rhonda's Promise, Inc. was founded by Rhonda Rogers with a vision to uplift empower, and transform the lives of women and girls throughout the southern Palm Beach County community by providing resources, support, education, and hope to individuals and families facing challenges. For 5 years, Rhonda's Promise has remained steadfast in its commitment to serving underserved populations through impactful programs focused on mental health awareness, senior engagement, youth development, health and wellness, community outreach, and family support services. And whereas the organization has become a trusted community partner, creating opportunities for individuals to thrive through innovative programming, advocacy, and meaningful connections. Through the dedication of its leadership, volunteers, community partners, sponsors, and supporters, Rhonda's Promise has positively impacted countless lives while fostering a culture of compassion, service, and empowerment. And whereas the theme of its 5th anniversary celebration, Promises Kept, celebrating 5 years of transforming lives, reflects the organization's unwavering dedication to fulfilling its mission and making a lasting difference in the communities it serves. And this milestone anniversary represents not only 5 years of achievements, but also a continued commitment to expanding opportunities, inspiring hope, and building stronger, healthier communities for future generations. This is the important part. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this 7th day of July 2026, the Board of County Commissioners recognizes the 5th anniversary of Rhonda's Promise Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, Rhonda Rogers.
Thank you so much to my wonderful classmate, Commissioner Bobby Powell. I want to thank the entire dais and commissioners for this honor. It is our 5th anniversary, and for those who do not know, Rhonda's Promise is a nonprofit that focuses on working with girls, senior citizens, and women, and we focus on mentoring, mental health, as well as different programs for our senior services. Our actual anniversary is July 12th, and so that is going to be our main day, and I'd like to invite you on November 1st to celebrate with us our 5-year gala at Benvenuto. Again, thank you, Commissioner Powell, and thank you, Vice Mayor and Vice Mayor and the entire dais for this wonderful proclamation. Thank you.
So I almost forgot one of our most important guests, and her name is Gala. She is down here, is a sweet, approximately 6-year-old pup who came to Palm Beach County Animal Care as a stray in March. Although she was microchipped, we were unfortunately unable to locate her owner. Gala has become a volunteer favorite, loves doggy daycations and play groups, and has a gentle, affectionate personality. She even has a unique scar on her back that only adds to her charm. Now all Gala needs is a loving family to call her own. So if anyone would like to say hi to Gala and adopt her, she will be in chambers today during our proclamations. Thank you so much for bringing her. And trained already. Can you come train my puppy? Let's give a round of applause for Gala. Super sweet, everyone. We are going to move on to Park and Recreation Month. So if you are here from Parks and Rec, please come forward. As someone who loves to be outdoors and has 3 boys, this is one of my favorite departments. So, Parks and Rec Month, so July 2026. Whereas in 1985, the National Recreation and Park Association declared July as Park and Recreation Month. Whereas the 2026 theme is the power of celebrating many ways parks and recreation join people and communities through the power of connection, play, community, nature, belonging, and well-being. Whereas the Palm Beach County Parks and Recreation Department is celebrating 54 years of creating opportunities for healthy, happy living to the community at large. Whereas Parks and Recreation promote the health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near and visit parks along the environmental well-being, providing space for wildlife to thrive and people to connect with nature through outdoor recreation. Whereas programming and education activities organized through Parks and Recreation, such as out-of-school time recreation, youth sports, swim instruction, and environmental education are critical to childhood development. Whereas Park and Recreations contribute to a community economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and proactive crime reduction. Whereas the Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners recognizes the tremendous benefit derived from the park system and celebrates the county's CAPRA accredited National Gold Medal Award-winning Park and Recreation Department team. I don't think I could say that 3 times fast. Now therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this 7th day of July, 2026 in Palm Beach County, it is hereby proclaimed Park and Recreation Month. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mayor Baxter, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, for your ongoing support. Thanks to the public for their support of our amazing park system. I do feel like it's something that makes our community truly special. I want to give a special shout out, if it's okay, to our workers that are out in our parks right now. They're cleaning restrooms, they're preparing ball fields, they're getting ready to provide lifeguard services at our water parks, accept field trips to our nature centers and our Japanese garden. They're doing it all behind the scenes in public service, and I just want to say thank you to all our Parks and Recreation professionals. And we're shining a light on our veterans today as well, for all Parks does for physical, mental, and social health, as well as economic health. I want to introduce Tony Moore, who's with our Clean and Sober Sports League, that's here, and also a veteran. Dr. Pete, a clinical psychologist with our VA Medical Center. Thank you, Dr. Pete. And Bobby Steen, who works in Parks and Rec, who's also a veteran. And Dr. Pete, would you like to say a couple words about parks and the role they play in the lives of veterans?
Hi, I'm Dr. Pete from the VA. If you don't know where it is, it's on Blue Heron. And I represent the Mental Health Service, and I am the liaison between the community and the mental health service. And part of that liaison role is to work with any private or nonprofit or public service that helps veterans. One of the main players we have is the Parks Department. And we've partnered with the Parks Department in many areas to give veterans a better life, better wellness, because we know that the veterans do not come to the VA full-time. They're in the community, and we want them out in the parks enjoying themselves. It's all over good well-being, and we have future plans to do more with the Parks Department so we can get veterans out of the house and tackle the isolation and loneliness problem. So we look forward to working more with you. Thank you.
While they take that picture, I'd like to have the individuals for Parents' Day come up. I have Ms. Elisa Kramer, Adam Davis, Ike Powell, Dr. Twila Davis, Dr. Shana Ginsburg, Dr. Amanda Terrell, Dr. Lynn Hargrove, Tammy Fields, Marcella Perez, Families First, Tamaya Williams, Javonna Wilson, LaToya Taylor, Chandra Crosby, Elizabeth Robinson, Dr. Charles Smith, Maria Val, Candace Dixon, Anita Winkus, Chandra Dawkins, Douglas Coverly, Reggie Durandis, and Lauren Zuckman. This proclamation declares July 26, 2026, as National Parents' Day. Whereas, in 1994, The United States Congress established the fourth Sunday of July as National Parents' Day to honor and recognize the vital role of parents raising children and the importance of effective parenting. And parenting is a lifelong commitment requiring unconditional love, patience, and tireless dedication to nurturing the physical, emotional, and intellectual growth of children. And parents serve as their children's first teachers, primary role models, and protectors, instilling the guidance and values to shape the character, foster resilience, and build success in our youth. And modern parenting takes many forms. We honor all families in Palm Beach County, including biological, adoptive, foster, and kinship parents, as well as guardians and caregivers who provide stable and loving environments for children, directly impacting the long-term well-being of our community. And whereas it is essential for businesses, schools, and government agencies to support policies that strengthen family units and provide parents with resources and tools they need to thrive and help our future generations reach their full potential. Now, therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this 7th day of July 2026, that July 26, 2026, in Palm Beach County is hereby proclaimed National Parents' Day.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Commissioner Powell, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, County Administrator. We appreciate this acknowledgement of National Parents' Day. We are accepting this proclamation on behalf of all who raise children and help to fill their childhoods with positive experiences. I have benefited from amazing, loving parents, and I think of them in acceptance of this resolution, this proclamation. And I also think of all of the families that you mentioned, the types of families who support children and help them to grow brighter futures. While parenting is unbelievably rewarding, any parent can also attest that parenting also is incredibly stressful and has its demanding moments. So we encourage parents and caregivers to take advantage of the supports the Palm Beach County Youth Services Department and our community-based agencies provide to help manage stress, enable safe supervision of children during summer and out-of-school time hours, and to strengthen families. And many of those community-based agencies and summer camp scholarship program providers are here today, and we appreciate the high-quality work they do to enhance our community. We thank the board for your commitment to growing brighter futures and to youth services staff who work tirelessly to fulfill that mission. And we thank Palm Beach County property taxpayers for their support in helping to make these needed services available throughout Palm Beach County. Thank you.
So while they're taking their picture, we're going to talk about Summer Learning Week. And my list is really, really long of everybody that is going to be coming up here for the to the podium for this proclamation, because it shows the true partnership of the county with all of our nonprofits in the county to do good work. So I'm going to read the list and the agencies that they represent, because I think it's important that you know who is here today. So when Ike is done over there, he's going to come over here as he's the Director of Outreach and Community Programming. Douglas Crane, who's the Director of Libraries. Alicia Garrow, Finance and Facilities Division, Director of Library. Elisa Kramer, Director of Youth Services. So we'll take the picture when they're all here. But as I call your name, come on up. Tammy Fields, Deputy County Administrator. Adam Davis, Assistant Director of Youth Services. Jennifer Cirillo, Director of Parks and Recreation. Paul Connell, Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation. Dr. Twyla Taylor. Dr. Shayna Ginsburg. Dr. Amanda Terrell. Dr. Lynn Hargrove. Mary Hart, CEO, YWCA of Palm Beach County. Lauren Zuckman, Chief Communications and Partnership Officer, Children's Services Council of Palm Beach County. Elizabeth Robinson, Communication Specialist, Prime Time, Palm Beach County. Dr. Charles Smith, Director of Research, Prime Time, Palm Beach County. Hi, Ike. Maria Vel, Senior Final Business Specialist, Primetime Palm Beach County. Candace Dixon, Primetime Palm Beach County. Anita Winkins, Primetime. Marcela Perez, Families First of Palm Beach County. Chandra Dawkins, Chief Research Development Officer, Boys and Girls Club of Palm Beach County. Douglas Kuvilli, I'm sorry, I probably pronounced that wrong. How was it pronounced?
Do you mind taking cards?
Douglas Kuvilli, Boys and Girls Club of Palm Beach County. Reggie, I'm going to butcher this one, I apologize. Durandis, founder and CEO for the Children. Tamia Williams, Giovanna Wilson, Latoya Taylor, Chandra Crosby, Jaron Ivory, Mentoring Initiative Specialist, United Way of Palm Beach County. Travis Conway, Executive Director, Edna Runner Learning Center. And Phyllis Parthamer. Did I say that right? Okay, in-person coordinator for Center for Independent Living. What a wonderful collection of folks that we have here today, and all the partners that Palm Beach County, the Board of County Commissioners has with the general public and the community. So today we are declaring July 6th through 10th, 2026 as Summer Learning Week. Whereas summer learning is an essential component of students' academic and personal development, providing opportunities for youth to explore new interests, build skills, and remain engaged during the summer months. Can you guys print this any smaller? Holy heavens. Whereas high-quality summer programs are proven to mitigate summer learning loss, the out-of-school time phenomenon which students lose significant academic ground, ensuring that all children in Palm Beach County return to school ready to succeed. And whereas with funding by the Board of County Commissioners and Children's Services Council of Palm Beach County, the Palm Beach County Youth Services Department supports summer learning by administering the Summer Camp Scholarship Program, which provides thousands of children with access to safe, enriching, and educational summer camp experience they might not otherwise afford. And whereas the Palm Beach County Youth Services Department further enhances the summer experience by partnering with Primetime Palm Beach County, the school district, local community organizations, municipalities, and the county's Parks and Recreation Department to ensure summer camp providers offer high-quality programming that builds skills for learning and life while fostering academic resilience. And whereas serving as a cornerstone of summer learning by hosting the annual Summer Reading Challenge, the Palm Beach County Library System encourages thousands of children and teens to maintain literacy skills through reading challenges and educational initiatives. And whereas the Palm Beach County Library System provides free access to summer activities, including STEM workshops, creative arts, and digital resources, offering a safe and stimulating environment for lifelong learning throughout the summer break. And whereas our community needs to recognize the importance of investing in our youth during the summer to close the achievement gap and support the long-term prosperity of Palm Beach County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this 7th day of July 2026, that July 6th through 10th, 2026 in Palm Beach County is hereby proclaimed Summer Learning Week. Thank you very much. Who wants to talk?
Good morning, and thank you so much, Commissioner Marino. We appreciate your support in this proclamation. I want to thank all of our partners that are here with us today, and you mentioned many of them that are here. There's others that are with us online. This proclamation is extremely important to us. So I'd like to start by saying good morning, Mayor, Commissioners, County Administration, and community partners. I'm Mike Powell, Youth Services Department, Outreach Community Programming Division Director. On behalf of the Youth Services Department and the many organizations, educators, staff, and volunteers who serve young people throughout this county, thank you for proclaiming Summer Learning Week. This recognition celebrates our collective efforts, including schools, nonprofits, libraries, summer camps, expanded learning opportunities, Super Summer Spelling Bee, community programs, and so much more that help children and teens stay engaged, continue learning, and build skills for success throughout the summer. We are grateful for your leadership and continued investment in programs that support youth services and strengthen our community. Thank you for your support and helping make Palm Beach County a place where all can thrive. Thank you so much.
Would one of you like to say something? Don't be shy. No reason to be shy. This is a great program, and you're taking advantage of it. No? What? These are the kids from 4th of July. Thank you.
So these young people are from our local not-for-profit For the Children. They do so much, and they serve as the Youth Empowerment Center in Lake Worth, and they also have other programs that they serve within the community. And we're so grateful for their support and the awesome work that they and all of our community-based agencies do to the healthy development for youth throughout the county.
Take a picture that way. Yeah, it's easier. Because then you've got, come on, okay, all the shorter people. I'll take my heels off, then I'll be shorter. All right, come on up here. Come on. Heels not today, so I can speak. If you can't see the camera, it can't see you.
Yeah.
See the camera?
That includes everyone in back. Everyone in here.
Well, let's keep this party going, shall we? So, reflecting off of what Commissioner Marino has done, we're going to look at declaring July 14th as National Psychologist Appreciation Day. So if I could have up here with me, if I could have Dr. Twila Taylor, Division Director of Youth Services, if I could have Dr. Shana Ginsberg, Chief Clinical Service Education and Training of Youth Services, and if I could have Dr. Amanda Terrell, Chief Residential Clinical Services of Youth Services, Dr. Lynn Hargrove, Psychologist, Elisa Kramer, Director 3 of Youth Services. I see that, y'all just come floating right over here. See, ladies and gentlemen, all these different wonderful people are connected by one outstanding service idea, which is to help the youth of Palm Beach County. And Ike Powell, Division Director 2, and Tammy Fields. Tammy, you just might as well just walk back and forth. I hope you got your tennis shoes on. That's good, good, good. And yes. So, okay, let's get started. The field of psychology is essential to the health and well-being of our society, providing the scientific research and clinical expertise necessary to understand human behavior and improve mental health outcomes. Whereas individuals needing help facing life's challenges benefit from the vital support of psychologists who provide evidence-based treatments for mental health disorders and the development of emotional resilience. Whereas psychologists working alongside the Palm Beach County Youth Services Department, school district, remember I told you about taking care of our youth, of Palm Beach County behavioral health providers contribute significantly to our county by fostering emotional and intellectual growth of the next generation. Whereas by translating complex research into accessible knowledge, psychologists advance public health and foster a broader understanding of mental wellness and collaboration with other health professionals. And whereas the County Services Department relies on the specialized expertise of psychologists to deliver trauma-informed mental health services. Whereas the National Psychologist Appreciation Day honors your dedication, your compassion, and your professional excellence by giving to our youth here in Palm Beach County contribution to advancing the science of the mind and healing of the soul. So therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled today in regular session on the 7th day of July 2026, that July 14th, 2026, in Palm Beach County is hereby proclaimed National Psychologist Appreciation Day. Let's show our appreciation. Give a big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sachs. Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and County Administrator. Thank you for recognizing National Psychologist Appreciation Day, and a special thank you to Commissioner Sachs for sponsoring this proclamation. I'm Dr. Twyla Taylor, licensed psychologist and division director with Youth Services Department. My fellow psychologists and I, please join me. My fellow psychologists and I are honored to accept this recognition. We are 3 out of 6 psychologists in youth services who serve in many capacities, not only as licensed clinicians providing direct care, but also as clinical supervisors, educators, program chiefs, and division leadership. Youth Services has become a leader in the next generation, in the training the next generation of psychologists. Becoming a psychologist takes 10 to 13 years. That includes 8 to 10 years of undergraduate and graduate education, followed by 2 years of full-time supervised clinical experience, and lastly, passing the national licensing exam. We are one of 4 doctoral internship program sites in Palm Beach County. For nearly 25 years, we have been training future psychologists and have earned the American Psychological Association's highest distinction, a 10-year reaccreditation. Fun fact, 4 out of the 6 psychologists in YSD started as interns or fellows. Our interns and postdoctoral fellows deliver evidence-based, trauma-informed services under the supervision of licensed psychologists at a significantly lower cost than hiring an equivalent number of licensed clinicians. This model expands access to care while also strengthening the county's behavioral health workforce. And importantly, all youth services programs, whether provided by staff or interns, are free of charge, ensuring care is accessible to all families, a direct result of this board's support. Today's proclamation honors not only the profession of psychology, but also the collective work of clinicians, trainees, supervisors, and community partners who promote healthy development, build resilience, reduce risk, and support the mental health and well-being of Palm Beach County's youth and families. On behalf of all psychologists serving Palm Beach County, thank you for this recognition and your continued commitment to our community's mental health.
Excellent. Let's take that picture.
So I'm going to do a brief public service announcement for youth services. I know there's an item on the ballot in November having to do with property taxes. And if we do away with property taxes, programs like youth services are in danger of going away. Programs that put lifeguards at our beaches are in danger of going away. Programs that do maintenance on our parks are in danger of going away. And programs that offer the absolute basic services that this county provides, like police, fire, road maintenance, emergency management, they're in danger of going away. So just think about what you're voting for in November, and please educate yourself. Thank you. That's just my public service announcement for today. However, I'm going to bring up Tom Lanahan from Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. Tom is the executive director of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, and for those of you that don't know it, Treasure Coast we're celebrating 50 years. So today we're celebrating their 50th anniversary. And whereas the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council was established on August 19th, 1976, through an interlocal agreement between Indian River, Martin, Palm Beach, and St. Lucie counties to address issues of regional impact. And whereas Palm Beach County is a proud member of Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council and has benefited from the leadership in fostering regional collaboration and coordination. And whereas for 50 years, Treasure Coast has brought together elected officials and regional leaders to address complex challenges affecting the Treasure Coast region and to promote cooperation across jurisdictional boundaries. And whereas Treasure Coast provides valuable programs and services, including urban design and town planning, economic development, transportation and land use planning, emergency preparedness, natural resource planning, and administration of the Brownfields Revolving Loan Fund program. And whereas through these efforts, Treasure Coast has supported sustainable growth, environmental stewardship, economic vitality, and regional resilience for the benefit of its members and county municipalities. And whereas Treasure Coast has served as a trusted partner to Palm Beach County, providing technical assistance, planning expertise, and a forum for addressing regional issues and opportunities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 50th anniversary of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, representing 5 decades of dedicated service to the region. So now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this 7th day of July 2026, that the board celebrates the 50th anniversary of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. Hi, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Just a couple quick words. Thank you for this honor. It's a pleasure to be with you today to celebrate 50 years of regional planning in working in concert with you here in Palm Beach County. If you think back to 1976, the growth in this county and our region has been extraordinary, and we've been with you for that every step of the way. This is your Regional Planning Council, and happy to be here just to represent your council and receive this proclamation. So thank you so much. And I do have a little something for each person. If you would you be? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, 50 years worth of coin.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I should say, ladies and
Thank
gentlemen,
you,
and a
Madam
little
Mayor.
dog there, right?
need you-
Okay, we're going to go on to one of my favorite people, and that is who represents the veterans of foreign wars. And we're going to declare July 7th, which is today, 2026, as Veterans of Foreign Wars Post. And if we could have come forward, Commander Barry Golden, and of course, Mrs. Rebecca Golden. You're lucky, I don't know who's luckier, Barry, you or your wife. Well, come on, both of you, come on up. I want to honor the missus as well. Dan Thomas, Senior Vice Commander. Doug Weppert, a trustee of the VFW Post. Ron Hutzgren, and, excuse me, Veteran Service Officer of Palm Beach County, Division of Veteran Services. I saw a couple of folks here who raised their hand and stood up when our mayor proclaimed it today as being America's Day. So if you're a veteran, you're more than welcome to come on up and join us, please. And Natalie Vasquez, Division Director 3 of Veteran Services. And Barry Golden served, you know, a veteran of foreign wars, as my dad would say, are veterans who served in combat. And our commander of this VFW post served in Vietnam, 1969. For those of you who were not born in those days, 1968, 1969 were the years of the Tet Offensive, where there was a massive onslaught against our American combat officers and servicemen in Vietnam at that time. So, Commander, for serving in that time, and you're giving back so much today, I salute you, sir.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for being with them. I appreciate it. Veterans of Foreign Wars 10556, known as the Simpson Galla-Ferraro Memorial Post, has faithfully served veterans, military families, and the Boca Raton community since its inception in 1981, offering advocacy, camaraderie, patriotic programs, and vital support to those who have served our nation. Whereas this particular VFW post has demonstrated unwavering dedication to honoring America's veterans through community outreach, youth scholarships, and every year at Memorial Day and Veterans Day, ceremonies at Veterans Park are there for all of us. And I know that my colleague, Commissioner Woodward, and I are always out there, as well as commissioners who sat in my seat before I got here. We're always there, out there with you, Commander. As a member of that post since 2003, Commander Barry Golden was elected commander in 2006. You've consistently upheld the VFW's core values, while strengthening the ties between veterans and the community. Since 2008, you've served as a state VA volunteer service representative and a veterans representative at the West Palm Beach VA Medical Center, where VFW Post remains one of the most active volunteer organizations. Whereas serving as that Vet Center Client, Community, and Stakeholder Board, Commander Golden provides guidance on veterans issues and contributes to the well-being of those who have served. Whereas Commander Golden and all of you who work with our veterans today devoted countless hours to advancing veterans' causes, promoting educational opportunities for youth. If you ever want to see the promise of America, you don't have to watch TV. You have to come over to this Veterans Park in Boca Raton, West Boca Raton, and see these young kids from our schools march in honor of their country. And all of this is because of Commander Golden and all our directors and helpers of our veterans organizations here. Palm Beach County recognizes and commends you, Commander Golden, and the entire group of the VFW Post for your outstanding service, dedication, and commitment to veterans, their families, and our community. So now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, assembled in regular session on this 7th day of July 2026, that this day, July 7th, 2026, in Palm Beach County is hereby proclaimed Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 10556 under your leadership, Commander Barry Golden. Thank you, sir, for your service. And I mean it. Vietnam in '69 was no picnic, was no parade. And so when we celebrate the 4th of July, I'm pretty excited about that because that was my war in terms of growing up as a young girl. We celebrated yesterday with fireworks and hot dogs and parties and barbecues, but it's because of the men and women today and those who have come before us today that we are able to do that. And I congratulate all of you. Anybody here who is a veteran, thank you, and all those who support our veterans. Thank you so much.
I want to thank Commissioner Sachs and the Palm Beach County Board of Commissioners for this great honor. Palm Beach County, the Board of Commissioners, and the Palm Beach County Department of Parks and Recreation, along with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and Fire Department, have been supportive of the VFW and our efforts to support and help our veterans, regardless of where or when they served. We appreciate this effort and assure you we will continue to do what we can to help our veterans, whether living in Palm Beach County, Northern Broward County, or patients or residents of the Thomas H. Corey VA Medical Center in West Palm Beach. We are both jointly interested in the youth of our state and county and want to take every opportunity to stress the importance of patriotism and service. My experience with the use of both Boca Raton and Palm Beach County is that we do not have to worry about future leaders and their dedication to our country as we celebrate the 250th birthday of the United States of America. Thank you again for this beautiful proclamation, and I assure you we will continue to demonstrate that we are deserving of this great honor. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Let's go over here. There you go. Step down. Commander, we'll get everybody around. Okay. Is that everybody here? We're friends. All right. Okay. Got everybody? Thanks for staying closer. Get a little bit closer. Everybody here? Okay. Okay, where she's about.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll send you those pictures.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Good man. God
Thank you
bless
for
you
your
for
service.
putting up with
Thank you for your
it.
service.
You deserve all the honors.
Hi, everyone. So we actually have another dog with us today, and wait for it, named Raisin Bran. So, well, that's what it says up here, Raisin Bran. But now they're saying Kellogg is her name. So you take that for what it is, everyone. So, and she had 9 adorable puppies, and they were all surrendered. Their owner surrendered from Broward County and are now safe at Big Dog Ranch Rescue. So thank you to them for taking them in. We search for our forever homes. I am one of... She is one of her super cute young puppies bursting with energy and spunk. Excuse me, Raisin Bran had puppies, and Kellogg is the name of her puppy. I misread that. Now we're on the same page, everyone. So it says she will need lots of love, direction, and training, and that means more than just a puppy, but preschool classes. It says, I need you to patiently show me right from wrong as I grow. Please don't be upset if I chew on a few of your belongings or have accidents in the house while I'm learning. I promise I'll get the hang of it. I require lots of time, energy, and patience, but my sweet little face makes it all worth it. This is a learning curve for both of us, but if you invest the love and effort into helping me grow big and strong, I promise you'll gain a wonderful best friend for life. So everyone, please give Kellogg a round of applause. Commissioner Powell, you taking Kellogg home?
No, I have a question.
Okay.
Does she have one pup or
There-
2 scoops?
It does not say in front of me. But, so Kellogg is here if anyone would like to pet and say hi to Kellogg. Thank you, Commissioner.
You are welcome. All right, if I could have Stacey Caceres, Tammy Burton, Matt King, Ron Rice, Susan Gash, Mike Stahl, and Cliff Battles, and anybody else that is here for the proclamation declaring July 2026 as Plastic-Free July. Good morning. Whereas Plastic-Free July is a global movement that encourages people to use less or no plastic in July, and whereas less than 9% of plastic actually gets recycled, so substantial amounts of plastic continue to increase in landfills, taking up to 500 years to deteriorate. Making small changes like eliminating single-use plastics from day-to-day habits can collectively make a significant difference to our communities, natural resources, promoting cleaner streets, oceans, beaches, and communities. Whereas Palm Beach County implements strong efforts to protect, enhance the environment, including the preservation and restoration of natural areas, the maintenance and beautification of public parks, and the active participation in beach cleanup initiatives. Whereas one of 7 strategic priorities of Palm Beach County through the Strategic Planning and Performance Management Environmental Protection Cross-Department Team is to promote programs and activities that protect, preserve, and enhance natural resources while providing for sustainable living. Whereas Palm Beach County supports initiatives aimed at reducing the negative impacts of plastic and sharing information about how residents and businesses can reduce the reliance on single-use plastics, thus joining the international effort to reduce plastic pollution and the health risks associated with it. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County, Florida, assembled in regular session on this 7th day of July, 2026, that July 2026 in Palm Beach County is hereby proclaimed Plastic-Free July. And I should say, reuse is even better than recycling, and that means you can take, there's no reason single-use plastics can't be reused. And so if you ever come up to the 12th floor when I'm eating lunch and I brought something in, you'll see me washing my plastic fork and knife. So anyways, congratulations. And who's going to be making their...
Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you, Commissioner Weiss, for sponsoring this year's Plastic Free July proclamation. It's a pleasure to be here today alongside my colleagues from the Environmental Protection Cross-Departmental Team as we recognize this important initiative. The Environmental Protection CDT brings together 9 departments across the county working in partnership to advance environmental stewardship and lead the way towards a cleaner, healthier future for our communities. Plastic Free July invites all of us to take a closer look at our everyday habits and the plastic that we use without a second thought. Small swaps like skipping single-use bags, straws, and bottles add up to real impact for our oceans, our waterways, and our neighborhoods when enough of us take part. Palm Beach County is glad to stand behind this effort again this year, and through our ongoing cross-departmental work and commitment to sustainability, we remain focused on protecting our natural resources and supporting the community's efforts to make a positive difference. Thank you.
Right, where's Tammy Fields at? There she comes. What an honor. We are declaring July 14th, 2026 as Tammy Fields Day in Palm Beach County. Whereas Tammy K. Fields spent her youth growing up in upstate New York before building a distinguished career in public service in Palm Beach County, dedicating almost 4 decades to serving the county's residents, and she earned dual undergraduate degrees in policy studies, public relations from Syracuse University, and a Juris Doctorate from Stetson University College of Law. In addition, she completed certificate programs in trauma-informed care from Florida State University and diversity in the workplace from the University of South Florida, preparing for her lifetime of leadership in service to the public. Whereas, although initially pursuing public relations, Tammy's aptitude for legal argument, recognized during a First Amendment law course, led her to take the LSAT, scoring in the top 2% nationally, and to attend law school, launching her legal career. Tammy joined the county in 1989 as an attorney for the county attorney's office, overseeing community services and helping to establish the Youth Services Department, and later becoming its inaugural director in 2015. In 2023, she was appointed Deputy County Administrator. Tammy is widely recognized for her leadership in juvenile justice and child welfare, advancing initiatives that strengthen support systems for at-risk youth and families. Throughout her career, she has been a trusted advisor, known for her calm presence, sound judgment, and unwavering dedication to the organization and the residents that it serves. Whereas, as Youth Services Department Director, Tammy received the Spirit of Sanctuary Award for her leadership in trauma-informed care and the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award in 2024 for her service to the nation, yet considers her proudest accomplishment being a mother to her children, Eric and Jess. And whereas after 37 years of distinguished public service with the county, Tammy Fields will retire on August 7th, 2026, leaving behind a legacy of leadership, mentorship, and commitment to Palm Beach County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners assembled in regular session on this 7th day of July, 2026, that July 14th, 2026 in Palm Beach County is hereby proclaimed Tammy Fields Day.
Thank you. That was overwhelming. Before I get started, Administrator Abruzzo reminded me that I needed to tell you all a bit of good news. You saw youth organizations over and over with proclamations this morning. I want to share an important statistic. For 2026, we just got the report for the month of June. There have been no youth suicides in Palm Beach County for 6 straight months. And that's attributable to all of those people you recognized earlier today. So, deep breath. I want to say thank you. And I wanted to start with a quote from a poem by Robert Frost. It's from Two Tramps in Mud Time. And it's, my object in living is to unite my avocation and vocation as my two eyes make one in sight. And my career with Palm Beach County has allowed me to do that. My avocation is the people. I love people. I love interacting with people everywhere. And I also, my avocation is for fairness and justice. So serving in the county attorney's office, the youth services department, and in county administration, I have been able to have a vocation that was truly my avocation. Few of you may know this, but my public service actually started as a janitor on an Army base when I was in high school. Those of us who are on free and reduced lunch had the opportunity to apply. And so that's where I really started to learn about public service and had the opportunity, because my grades were the highest of all of us that were working there. I got to empty the general's trash cans. I was the only one that was given the clearance to do so. And he happened to be there one day, and he started he asked me what I like to do, and I told him I love to write. And he said, "Oh, I hate it. Can you start writing speeches for me?" And that was one of my introductions into public relations. And that's where I got one of the degrees, and he wrote one of my letters of recommendation for me to go to Syracuse University. So that was the start. I want to thank the leaders I've served under along the way, Denise Marie Neiman, Bob Wiseman, Virginia Baker, and now Mr. Abruzzo. I also want to thank Aaron Hand, who has really been my support while I have been in county administration. And the individuals that are in my vertical. My vertical, to me, is the public-facing one. So Elisa Kramer from YSD, James Green from Community Services, Jennifer Cirillo from Parks, Doug Crane from Libraries, and Lisa D. From Public Affairs. They work so well together, and I thank the administrator for putting that vertical together. It really makes a lot of sense. The county's in great hands under Mr. Abruzzo's leadership, and with Pat Rutter, Tracy Ellison, Tom Nadler, and Jonathan Brown, and I think there's an announcement of a new one later in the meeting. And I've developed so many lifelong friendships here, and I'm sure I'll forget people, but I want to mention Michelle Liska, Sherry Brown, Kathy Scarlett, who used to be here, Diane Sauve, Nancy Bolton, and Seth Bernstein, some of my closest friends, and some who are my travel partners, and I get to do more of that coming up soon. And I want to thank Don Chester here. As mentioned, my proudest achievements are my kids, Eric and Jess. And they were both born in St. Mary's Hospital. One was born at the time that Tiffany Trump was born, and one was born when President Clinton broke his ankle. And so, there was a lot of stuff going on. Don Chester came in both times, made sure I was doing okay, and made sure I was watched over at St. Mary's Hospital. So I want to thank you for that. And I want to just thank all of you. Keep up the great work. Keep making Palm Beach County a wonderful place for every person in this county, not only to survive, but to thrive. Thank you.
Tammy, if you would, please join us up on stage for a photo. Of course, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I cannot tell you how incredible it has been to work with Mrs. Fields for the past year. In full disclosure, I did ask if she would stay on for another year and defer her retirement, but then she told me about all the incredible trips and cruises and things that she had planned, so wasn't in the cards for the media. But I get to see Tammy work day in, day out, every day, and how much she cares about the residents and all of you in Palm Beach County. She does not stop, and thank you, Tammy, for talking about our cohesiveness up on the 11th floor, and that has to do with you and your senior leadership and how you made sure that your institutional knowledge and how you bonded us all together. So congratulations.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's okay. I won't be one for long. It's okay.
We're going to be leaning on you, Tammy.
Well, that will conclude our special presentations. We will move on to public hearings, and we have OFMB, Office of Financial Management and Budget.
Mayor, may I be recognized?
You may.
Can we get a motion to receive and file the proofs of publication?
A motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor? Any opposed? Commissioner Flores, are you still with us? See, that motion carries 6-0.
I'm here. Yes.
7-0. Sherry, floor is yours.
Good morning. I'll be quick with this one. This is our annual agenda item that allows us to add non-ad valorem items to the tax bill. And so we have a couple of nuisance abatements this year where we've taken care of some pools for people, and this would allow us to recoup what we've spent. That's it for me.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor? Any opposed? Please say that the motion carries 7-0. Thank you so much. County Attorney. We have 5B1. And we have Mr. Carey, our administrator from the SWA. Does anyone need a presentation? I don't. I'll entertain a motion. I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Sacks. All in favor? Any opposed? Please say that the motion carries 7-0. Thank you guys for coming down. Moving on to regular agenda. Administration, presentation from the property appraiser. Hi, good morning, Ms. Jacks.
Good morning. Nice to see you all. Dorothy Jacks, your county property appraiser. I'm here as part of your budget conversation this morning, and just wanted to provide some updates. Thank you. When I was here on June 2nd, we were in the early days of the passage of the property tax reform measure. You asked me a number of questions, which I took back and have the answers for you this morning to those, and we are happily writing down any more that you have today. But before we begin, I do want to just cover some updates regarding the amendment, the ballot amendment. There are, of course, two challenges taking place at the moment in the courts regarding the property tax reform amendment. The first is whether the ballot language is misleading or is not clear. That is a standard, has to be met for anything on the ballot. And if the courts determine that it isn't, the current language, it will be redrafted by the Attorney General. That can happen before the election. The second is a challenge to the residency requirement, which is really regarding the 5-year waiting period, that if someone moved to Florida after January 1st, 2027, they would, under the current language, be required to wait 5 years before receiving the higher homestead exemption amounts. And the courts have, in a prior case back in the 1980s, ruled that to be unconstitutional, that you would have two standards for residency. A standard that would apply to everybody prior to a date and a standard that would apply after that date. So that, I think, is a issue we should follow closely. It may, if the court determined that they feel this is discriminatory against those who arrive after the first of the year, the amendment could be null and void. Okay, so we will await the court's decision on those two matters. I did just want to make sure you were aware of them. So let's get on with the questions that you asked. First, you asked how many rental units are there in Palm Beach County. These are actually based on your census data, so it's a little bit old, but I don't think it makes. It's probably pretty much the same, at least from a percentage standpoint. 179,000 rental occupied units out of roughly 733 total housing units. Why is that number higher than the number of parcels? Well, it's because many of those parcels are apartment buildings. So an apartment building might have 200 units, 400 units. So when you start to look at the number of actual living units, it would be all of those included in this higher number. So 733,000 total housing units, approximately 30% are rentals, and approximately 45% of the total units are single-family detached homes, 19% in large buildings. That's question number one. Question number two, how many parcels aren't paying any tax currently? Great question, and I've listed here for you federal government property, 110 parcels. valued at $681 million. State government property, just over 2,000 parcels valued at just over $2 billion. Local government property, 8,000 parcels valued over $14 billion. Charitable, religious, scientific, or literary, 1,700, just over $3.5 billion. Total and permanently disabled veterans and their surviving spouses, 4,500 at 1.6, and total and permanently disabled persons, 3,700 at 18 million. So that's that currently parcels that pay no tax. Okay. Now, in your folders, you should have some giant sheets. I know last time it was somewhat difficult to see these. I hope this time you have these, but what I've done is taken the top on this prior sheet, how many homesteads are impacted or affected by the amendment. I've given you that yellow section, which is your section, on the next page, so you can see it a little easier. You also have all of the cities, if you're interested. You will see here that...
Dorothy, before you go on, question here is you have the homesteaded properties with assessed values less than 150,000. So and then you have less than 50,000 and less than 250. Is it really less than 50,000 and then the next one is 51,000 to 150 and then the next one is 151 to 250? I don't want to double count. Does that make sense what I just asked you?
It does, but if I could, I'll just go over this sheet first.
Okay.
There are two different sheets. This one is actually just the counts. Oh, I'm sorry, you are asking, I'm sorry, yes.
No worries.
Yes, it's from 50,001 up to 150K.
Okay.
Yeah, does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so let's just quickly go over the Palm Beach County numbers on this sheet. Palm Beach County, again, the first column is the total number of parcels. Second column is the total residential of those parcels. The third is the total homesteads, so you can see we're grading down. At the moment, based on 2025 numbers, 14,000 are valued less than 50,000. Again, that's mostly because they've owned for a very long time. Think about places like Century Village, Kings Point, smaller condominiums are below that. Next, homestead properties that are less than 150,000, 92,000, and obviously less than 250,000, 178,000. Now, I will point out, so that's 178,000 of 369,000 have value less than 250,000. If we look back to the total number of homesteads, 369,000, and then we look to the right, homestead properties less than 250K, 178,000. I hope I'm not completely boring you with my, I live and breathe these numbers, so. And then below that.
Vice Mayor Woodward has some questions.
Yes.
Thank you. Just because Commissioner Marino had asked a question, and I think maybe I got a little confused. These are not cumulative, right? So if it's not the under 50, and then we add the 150, and then we add the
No.
250. That's,
They're all in there.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the 14,000 are in the 178?
Right.
Yeah? Okay. I did give you, again, on this enhanced slide, I've given you your other districts, the unincorporated, fire rescue, and Palm Beach County Library. Because all of them are different, because all of them serve a different group of parcels, okay? Okay. So having said that, I do want to point out, of course, that all homesteaded properties, whether they're under the 250K or not, are getting would get an increase in their amount of their exemption, right? On average, today, most homesteaders save about $800,000 about $800 in tax savings for their homestead. So that's what your homestead today is worth, about $800. In 2027, that would go up to about $2,700. and in 28 up to about 3,500. And of course, that would depend on your millage rate, which is in question. Could the millage rate go up? And of course, where you live in the county. If you live in a city like West Palm Beach, your millage rate is quite a bit higher than if you live in the unincorporated area.
Excuse me again, Dorothy. Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Hi, thank you. To just clarify, because this is talking parcels, and on the previous slide, you had told us about the number of housing units. So a condo building can have homesteaded and rental ones. So how do the parcels divvy up when it comes to that? If it's like a multifamily building?
So in a condominium building, certainly you can have some residents who are homesteaded because they're permanent Florida residents. You could also have seasonal rentals. I'm sorry, you could have seasonal residences who are not renting at all. And then you could have rentals, people who are renting their apartments.
So how does the parcel count then do it? Because if it's a single parcel versus unit, because we're kind of comparing two different numbers here.
No, a condominium is a parcel, okay? It is singly owned, one person owns it, or a business owns it, it's, okay?
So
As
if it's an
opposed to-
apartment building, that was on the other sheet. That's
Correct.
all rentals.
Correct.
Okay.
So an apartment building is one owner, one bill. A condominium, even though they might be one of 300 condominiums, is one owner, one bill. And that's a parcel, right? So a condominium is a parcel. A landlord who owns 200 units in a building is also a parcel. It's all about how it's owned will determine whether you're a parcel or not. Okay, so if you're a unit in an apartment tower, you are in the rental, those rental numbers, 733,000 units are available for rent, but you can see that's higher than our 630,000 parcels because that includes all of those, I've got 200 units. Does that help?
I think what you're saying basically is if there's an apartment building and it is strictly an apartment building, it has one parcel control number and the only person getting that bill is the owner of the entire building.
Correct.
Okay.
The landlord.
The landlord,
If you can
correct.
think about it that way.
Correct.
The owner is the landlord and he's the only person, or she's the only person getting that bill.
So in the previous slide, when you said 733 units, 733,000 versus 659 total, basically there's 74,000 units that are in rental buildings with only one parcel control number.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's easiest to explain it as a rental building, but you could also think about a flat, a townhome community that's all one owner. There are many of them around us that are all one owner and they're all rentals.
San Matera in Palm Beach Gardens are condominiums. Everyone owns their own parcel. But San Marano in Palm Beach Gardens is owned by one owner, and those are strictly rentals.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Let me go on. I only have one more data slide for you. The next question asked was how much value is lost versus your current revenue stream? Last time I gave you value lost, but you didn't have the comparison of your total taxes levied. So let's look at that. Again, one page, I've given you all of Palm Beach County, including all the cities. And the next is the top 4 lines blown up a little bit so you can see them a little better. So again, I'll go across the top line. I'm going to put that down in hopes that it doesn't. I'll go across the top line and please let me know if you have any questions. So Palm Beach County in 2025 levied $1.5 billion in property taxes. Obviously, you have other sources of revenue that come from other places, but that is your flat line ad valorem tax collection. In 2025, due to the homestead exemption, you lost $90 million. So that's the value of everyone's homestead bundled up into one. In 2027, the first year of the 150,000 exemption, that number would go to 221 million. And in 2028, when the homestead would go to 250,000, that number goes up to 324 million. So of the 1.5, right now it's 90 million lost, going to 221 million lost, then 324 million lost. And if you just see the last column, I've given you the percentage of loss from the ad valorem collection for the highest number, just the highest number. We can obviously, we just calculate them out, the others. So it's 21% of your total collection. Again, all of this based on 2025. A lot of other factors come in. If you were to increase your millage, if non-ad valorems were to increase, they would all affect owners differently, but the loss, if you based it on 2025, if we, in effect, assumed that the exemption went up in 2025, that's the number it would be. The unincorporated county number is a lot higher. That's really because the collection from the unincorporated area is much lower. And also there are more people in the unincorporated area with higher lower values. Thus, the homestead value takes more away from what they would pay. Let's remember that everybody still will pay taxes. They'll still pay the school board, who is held harmless from the amendment. And of course, they all pay, many of them pay non-ad valorem assessments. Everyone pays the garbage assessment. And then certainly in a lot of areas, including a lot of the unincorporated area, there are other non-ad valorem assessments for stormwater drainage, the Lake Worth Drainage District, various districts like that. All right, that concludes my slides. I hope that was helpful. Again, every day we evaluate this language a little bit more. And in fact, later today, I have a call with our Property Appraisers Association. We're going to go over a few more things, but I've covered everything that we are right now thinking about. So.
Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
Thank you. As always, it's a pleasure to see you, Ms. Jackson.
Yes, thank you. It's nice to see you too.
These numbers are important.
Can I have you stop my slideshow? I don't know why, and you can just leave. Thank you. You can just leave it there.
You have any family pictures you want to put? Ms. Jackson, you just mentioned a few minutes ago what these, if the amendment is passed in November, what it would not affect, such as a school district and solid waste authority. Could you tell us what will be affected if the amendment passes in November?
Well, your collection will be affected along with every one of our cities.
Specifically, can you talk about the libraries, the art parks, things like that, if you can?
Well, again, as I said last time, I'm your numbers person, so I can tell you how much money is going to be reduced from your collection. The decisions about what will be affected at that point, I think, are really yours. I don't think I don't think it's lost on anyone that this is a significant change for all of our taxing authorities in Palm Beach County, whether it's the library, whether it is the healthcare district, whether it is the Children's Services Council, the Florida Inland Navigation District.
You're doing exactly what I asked.
Oh, good.
Keep it up.
The South Florida Water Management District. All of these districts collect and survive on ad valorem taxes. And it's significant to all of them. And especially, as I have said before, and will continue to say to many of our local communities, our small towns, that's what worries me the most.
I think you mentioned last time you were here some of the small towns that would not be able to financially succeed, continue to exist. Will you continue to make that public to people so that they understand? And it's about the numbers. It's nothing emotional about this or political. It's about the numbers. Would you happen to have that list with you right now, or?
Well, I cannot today predict for you exactly who would not be able to survive. Again, there are other funding mechanisms for cities. Non-ad valorem assessments are an open field. They're available. And many cities do have the ability, if they had to raise their millage rates, raise tax rates. You know, the point here is that.
But that would mean raising property taxes.
Absolutely.
Correct. So if this amendment passes and some folks get a property tax exemption or a lowering of their property taxes, other people could see their property tax actually raise or rise. Right?
Correct. And even that person may see that once their value goes over the $250,000 mark. So let's play this out in 10 years.
Please, yes.
Somebody's home, which today is worth $250,000, gets 3% cap every year. Their value is going to exceed $250,000. It'll be $300,000. It'll be $350,000 possibly. At that point, they will pay on that $100,000 between $250,000 and $350,000, and they will pay if millage rates have gone up and if non-ad valorems have been added on that higher.
So they could actually take advantage of the property tax exemption if the referendum passes. However, that could cause them to actually pay more taxes if property values in this county go up, which is extraordinary to think that it would not. But if it does, they could actually be liable for higher taxes, higher property taxes, as the property values go up.
Correct, because at the moment, their exemption amount is wonderful because it's helping them to save, but if the overall rate has to increase, or if non-ad valorems have to increase, then when they start paying taxes, they'll be higher than they would be if everything stayed the same today.
Thank you. That's a good note, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, I will point out that, you know, the problem with a constitutional amendment is it is forever. It's not going to be going on for 3 years and then, you know, it gets chucked out. It'll be forever, just like the 3% cap is, just like, you know, other exemption benefits we've passed in past years. But, yeah, I think the biggest concern are communities where their millage rate is bumping up against the 10 mil cap, as we have in the Glades communities at the moment. Those communities where there is no room to move their millage rate because combined they're already hitting up against a existing 10 mil cap, will struggle the most to find other revenue sources if they're out there. The only way that could change is if the 10 mil cap was raised, which of course is something else that could happen. I mean, a lot of these things are, if I will say them all with just with the comment that other law can change. I mean, anything can change.
But on taxes, it has to be a constitutional amendment.
Correct.
And that's not it, it's over 60%. So laws can change, but not with regard to tax, it has to be constitutional. One last question. You're going to be meeting with the property appraisers group, you said tomorrow, or at least phone call meeting with property appraisers organization. We had the Florida Association of Counties last week, and they had an excellent presentation of what this is all about, informative, and education, of course. If this happens with your organization, would you let our mayor know so that we could hear from you again?
Certainly.
And even if they don't do a presentation, I'd like to know what their position is for the entire state of Florida with regard to this amendment. Always good to see you. Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you. So Dorothy, we were talking previously about those 777,000 units that we have in the county, of which, I can't remember offhand what the number were, rental, one parcel. I'll go back, 74,000, okay. The owners of those units, the landlords of those units, is it safe to say that if we are not collecting homesteaded taxes, taxes on homesteaded properties, is it safe to say that the impact will fall on the landlords, the investors, and the businesses in our county and in the state?
Yes.
Okay. So that would mean, the pass-through would mean that rentals will go up. Because somebody's got to pay it, so obviously the pass-through would mean that the renters who are in these units are going to be paying more rent because the taxes are going up.
One of the expenses that any landlord has to cover, insurance, property taxes, upkeep, wear and tear, this sort of thing. Property taxes is an expense, and normally that's what landlords do, is pass the expenses of the rental through to the tenants.
So how does, I took the liberty of pulling some of our, some properties around the county, and the non-ad valorem assessments are just that. They are non-ad valorem, which means they're basically a fee. This has no impact on those.
None.
Okay, so if you live in District 6, you're still going to be paying Indian Trail Improvement District. Okay, but you also are still paying and ad valorem taxes for an unincorporated property in District 6 include fire rescue, library, children's services, county debt, county operating, Everglades construction, find, healthcare, Palm Beach County Schools, and South Florida.
Now, other than the debt service and the school district, their exemption, their new exemption, the higher exemption amount, if it passed, would apply to those other districts. They would get the exemption off of those districts.
So the special districts, so if I were to talk about my house, my special districts would be the same. I don't have anything different in my district. I do have the non-ad valorem assessment of Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District. But what you're saying is, so the basis with which they can charge will also be hit by this, because the amount of taxable value will go down.
Correct.
So not only will the county suffer, but all of the special districts, including, as we said, South Florida Water Management, Florida Inland Navigation, the Healthcare District, Children's Services Council, they will all be affected also.
Correct.
Okay.
And they will, the larger districts that cover the whole county will have a similar effect that you have in that $324 million of homestead value. Similar effect. It'll just depend on how much they collect.
So if we were going to go, say we were going to go to Boca, then the Greater Boca Beach and Park would also be affected?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that's just another special district.
Anything that is ad valorem, an ad valorem district, with the exception of the school board and your debt services.
Okay.
Every one of the other districts. So if you pay those now, the non-ad valorem districts are nothing, no change. If you're paying them now, I know Mayor Loxahatchee Groves has quite a high non-ad valorem assessment, pay for drainage, pay for roads, things like that. That doesn't go away. So even if your home in Loxahatchee Groves was worth less than $250,000, you would stop having to pay ad valorem, except for the school board on the $250,000, but you'd continue to pay $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000, whatever it happens to be, a year in non-ad valorem assessments. Same thing if you were in a new community in your district, Commissioner Avenir has some quite high non-ad valorem assessments. There are many folks in the county who are paying $2,000 to $4,000 a year in non-ad valorem assessments.
Correct. Yeah, I have that here. But the fire rescue is an MSTU. That is also affected.
Oh, yes, and I've given you that as one of the lines
Yes,
in
you
the
did.
expanded area. Yes, fire rescue collecting levying 479 million in 2025, potential loss 147 million when we get to 2020, the 250,000.
So when we talk about the question and answers, how many homesteads are affected, basically, we're using a figure of, if we add up, dang, where did it go? I thought I was so organized here. Okay, so if we add up Palm Beach County, unincorporated Palm Beach County and fire rescue, that is the equivalent of $2.2 billion. So when you added all of what we're going to lose, it's a tremendous amount of money. 3, 4, it's almost close to $600 million just out of that $2.2 billion, and we know that $1.1 billion goes to the sheriff. So basically, all we're doing is stripping away services from our residents. Is that, well, you can't answer that question. That'll be up to us to decide as a board. But people need to understand that this is over a $600 billion impact. And I'm using that number from these figures here. So that I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. We're all using the same numbers, because we all need to be accurate in what we are explaining, because it's our job up here to educate what the impact of this will be. Thank you for answering our questions. I know I'm kind of a pest about some of them, but I wanted people to know that there are agencies that aren't paying taxes. I wanted folks to know that those that are in investment properties are going to be shouldering the burden, and those that are running a business or planning to come to Palm Beach County and be part of the velocity of money, they'll be affected too. Thank you.
Administrator Abruzzo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Property Appraiser Jax, great to see you this morning. I'm sure you're aware, in the governor's website, not only did he put for the residents to see what their property tax reductions would look like under $250,000, but he also did a $500,000 line. I've been hearing from industry groups in Tallahassee that the implementing bill would potentially allow, and there is language in there when they implement it, if it passed in November, that the impact could be a lot more severe than $250,000. It could go up to $500,000. Have you seen that language? Have you looked at that? And are you preparing potentially that this could be an even greater impact than the number shown today?
We have not prepared those figures just because, quite honestly, the language was somewhat difficult to follow as far as how exactly the mechanics of that would work. There was some language that you could choose to make it more than 250,000. I'm not sure which government would do that in light of the severity of the 250,000, but certainly I think that is how we, the property appraisers, sort of read that. But again, a lot of this, there was 2 days of conversation about it, if we can even call it conversation, before it was voted upon. So many of these things still remain a concern to us. I will say that I do plan, barring any change from the courts, I do plan in the September window to roll out a calculator on the Palm Beach County Property Appraiser's website that would allow taxpayers to see their property's impact from the various levels of increased homestead, and also reflect the taxing authorities they pay and what their loss will be. So my goal is I think the concept of a calculator is a great one. It was unfortunate that the state calculator was built before the legislature chose to hold the schools out of the amendment. So the state calculator, at least up until recently, I haven't gotten an update that it's been changed, was reflecting more savings than is now going to even be on the ballot, meaning that school boards were included and now they have been excluded. So the amount you're saving will be less than it would have been in the state calculator, but I plan to have a calculator that will be more individualized, and it will include non-ad valorem assessments. So if you see you'll be able to look at your parcel and this very specific detail of what taxing authorities are impacted, and then in addition to your parcel, you'll see how those taxing authorities are being impacted globally. So they're larger, sort of the macro micro. You'll have your parcel, but you'll also have the larger picture of the impact to, say, the libraries or your small town, or
Commissioner. Sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say we're hoping to do that in September, so that it'll be before the election, certainly, and give everybody time to look at it.
Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Property Appraiser Dorothy Jacks. A couple questions, a few questions. Number one, these court cases that are pending, the challenge is what happens choosing my words, with this idea that the language is confusing and the state's attorney general will have the ability to rewrite the wording. What happens if the state's attorney general further writes language that continues to be confusing and it's challenged in court again? Is that a possibility? Is it not a possibility? Or do we move forward with what we could consider even more confusing language based on the state's attorney general writing the language that will be used on the ballot?
I am not an expert at all in this area. Possibly your attorney could research it a little bit as to what happens if, like you said, I'm not sure who the judge is of the judges, if you will. So once the attorney general might rewrite it, who then has to does it go back to the court to say, yes, that looks explanatorily enough, a good enough explanation. I'm not really sure how that works. I don't know if you.
I can do some research and get back to you on that, but I do know it wouldn't be that the Attorney General sends it back to the court to for the court to make the determination if it's okay.
Right, so someone else would have to file a lawsuit, but it may be too late. I don't know, we'll revisit that. The other question with regard to this residency law, what happens if the residency requirement, they would just remove that from the ballot language, correct?
I am not sure they could simply remove it. I believe that because the legislature has adopted it with it, the legislature might have to
do another special session.
Right, to adopt it without it, if that's what the courts wanted to do. And again, if you think about the window of time we are in right now, I believe it is the first part of August that our supervisors have to begin preparing the ballots for the November election. So the timing on this is going to be very complex. Also, we have had in the past where language has been on the ballot and then been ruled it was too late to pull it off the ballot, but then the question was moot. So that's another thing. This isn't an area that I've explored in great detail.
Thank you for that. That's interesting. I know the legislature is not uncomfortable with doing another special session. I would say that. Furthermore, we talked about ad valorem and non-ad valorem. So the ability to increase non-ad valorem taxes would exist, right? What's the cap on the increase of non-ad valorem for a county or municipality?
I don't believe there is a cap at all. No, there is no cap at all on non-ad valorem assessments.
So in reality, we could do a tax, not we, but there's a possibility of a tax shift from ad valorem to non-ad valorem if this were to pass, if municipalities and local governments or governments felt the need to do so, they could do a tax shift, correct?
It certainly is today, and the way the law reads today, could definitely be a possibility. The non-ad valorem assessments were originally established really to provide drainage, roads, infrastructure issues for communities. They've evolved over the years. Now you see assessments for fire services. You see assessments for, of course, our biggest one is our garbage assessment. Many communities self-assess themselves for something that they want to do. Mostly these are to pay for bonds that are floated to build infrastructure, and then after 25 years, the bond is paid off, and then the residents either go into a maintenance mode under the non-ad valorem assessments. So there's a lot of different scenarios for how they're used. 30 years ago, when the concept of non-ad valorems were separated from the ad valorems, because originally they were all bundled together, there were 24 non-ad valorem districts. There are now over 200, correct? 200 and change. So they have exploded across our county and certainly across the state. The biggest issue I feel with non-ad valorems is, while they do serve many, many good purposes, they do not have the same level of oversight that the ad valorem millage levying process does. You are about to have your meeting where you'll set your maximum millage. You'll then have a number of other very public meetings where you accept comment from the public about the assessments, about the level of millage setting. All of that information is clearly displayed on the proposed tax notice, including information about how people can easily reach you and reach out and attend meetings. None of that you have to advertise in the newspapers if you're going to raise your millage. I mean, there's a lot of steps to the ad valorem millage setting process. Those steps don't exist for the non-ad valorem. There is requirement that the district notify the residents in an area that there's going to be a higher levy set. However, that's where it begins and ends. And so I really do feel that if this was to pass, if the ballot initiative passes, that's an area of law that really needs to be addressed, is sort of tightening up the public face of non-ad valorem assessments.
Thank you for that. A follow-up question, not on that particular area, but with regard to millage rates. From my understanding, taxes and values increase every year on properties. Currently, if you're in a rental property, your property taxes could increase, but it's capped at 10%. Based on the language that was passed recently in a special session, it would allow for only a 5% increase. Now, here's the tricky part. We now live in a society where we turn a blind eye to discrepancies. We pretend everybody's homogenous, there's no diversity, so all things are treated equal. So 33%, about a third of homeowners are renters. About a third of those living in housing are renters, right? If we didn't act like discrepancies existed, if we looked at diversity and looked at, black and white and different, you'd understand that 54.9% of Palm Beach County, according to the 2020 census, of black folk were renters, or black people, not folk, black people. And then 44.9% were homeowners. And when it comes to 2020 census in the white community, 75% would be homeowners, and then about 25% would be renters. But as a whole, you put everything together, and it's not just black and white, you get all things combined. About a third of people are renting. Those renters, now we're going to focus on the renters, we're not going to break it up by race or ethnicity, but let's talk about renters. The third of people who are renting, they could potentially, as Commissioner Marino was indicating, see an increase, but it's capped at only 5%, right? So the tax increase is capped at 5% of the value. So they may only see, am I right or wrong by saying they could only see a 5% increase in their rental rate? Or as the person who owns the unit and I'm renting it out, if I see an increase of 5% in my taxable value, am I capped at what I can charge for my increase to that individual, or can I raise it by 100, 200?
I actually don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. I'm not aware of what you're mentioning about the 5%. I'm unaware of that. That just may be my, but we don't work with a lot of rental. Of course, we're all about owners and so forth, but
So,
Madam Mayor.
Administrator Abruzzo would like to say something. Commissioner Powell, would you like his answer?
please, thank you.
Thank you. So here's the tricky part with the bill. The property appraiser, you are correct. Right now, she can only raise or assess the properties at 10% more than the current values.
sorry.
However, under this new bill, it says that they could only assess at 5, which on the face sounds great for renters, but here's the trick. We would obviously, as Mrs. Jacks indicated, receive these massive cuts. And it would be my job to propose to you, the board, how to fix or supplement this money, because we need to run our government. The main option that you would have is to raise the millage rate on renters and commercial property. So even though Mrs. Jacks could only raise 5% cap, you can raise the millage on the owners of those rental communities, which rule of thumb means it just gets passed on to the renters. So ultimately, the renters get hit with that and would likely far supersede or far exceed the amount of rent they're paying today. So the impact hits the renters based on that scenario if you wanted to fill the budget gap of the hundreds of millions of dollars lost. Commercial properties and rental properties, non-homesteaded properties, would bear the brunt of that burden.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Commissioner. I didn't realize, I thought there was a separate bill regarding rentals. So the 10% to 5% is all other property types. So it's seasonal rentals, it's snowbird homes, it's vacant land, it's agriculture, it's commercial property, industrial property, every other property type, including rental apartments and rental property, will go from at the moment, they're capped only going up 10%, they would be capped going up 5% a year. When we run these numbers out, and we have, it's not a significant savings for them because values don't go up to the 10% threshold, and really, quite honestly, don't often go up to the 5% threshold on these properties a year. Because again, it's year over year, so each year it could go up another 5% and another 5%, their valuation. And of course, as the administrator said, they continue to be subject to any millage increases. They also pay full market value to the school board right now. So for a lot of property owners, the school board is the largest millage levy you pay, usually around 6 mills of 18 mills, so around a third of everyone's bill is the school board, where none of these benefits will lower that school board number.
Thank you for that. And I just want to be clear, and for you, property appraiser, and even Administrator Abruzzo, what we're saying here is, if this were to pass, it would behoove us not to, and I'm not saying this is what would happen, but it would probably be a benefit to pass a lot of this shift onto those individuals who are renting, because that's where we could see the least amount of opposition to increasing the amount that's paid. And then also for landlords, they own the property, they're passing it on to the person or the individuals or the entities who are renting. They really don't have a cap anyway, so landlords can raise the rent to whatever they want to raise it to. Am I correct? Because they've done it a couple years ago, right after COVID. I know landlords were raising rents, sometimes doubling in $500 to $1,000 is what rents were being raised to. So there's no cap on, we pass this, if this passes on the ballot and it becomes a constitutional amendment, there's no cap on what a renter could ultimately end up paying. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And millage rates, if millage rates go up, anybody who is not under the homestead threshold will pay more tax.
Thank you.
Commissioner Flores has been waiting patiently to speak. Are you with us, Commissioner Flores?
Yes, I'm here.
Please proceed.
First of all, Dorothy, thank you so much for the presentation. And it's actually good to hear all of us kind of be together on this. One of my main concerns as it relates to this potential impact is what Commissioner Powell just brought up is our renters. The people that are going to have to brunt the majority of the burden is going to be our renters, because if we have to increase the millage to be able to provide the basic services that we're going to have to provide our residents, the commercial and retail properties, which include renters, would have to bear the brunt of this. And then the other side of the token is, hold on, let me just stay there for a second. We have been working diligently as a Board of County Commissioner, the entire county, Homeless Coalition. We've been trying to figure out how do we keep things affordable. And we've been investing a lot of dollars into keeping affordability here in Palm Beach County, because we understand the struggle for our workforce, that it's extremely cost prohibitive to find an affordable place to live, especially if you're a brand new graduate who just got your degree. It's really hard to come back to Palm Beach County and be able to afford a rent unless you're going to live 4 or 5 individuals, be roommates. And, that's fun for a couple of years, but then after that, you kind of want to grow up and have a little independence. Our teachers can barely afford an apartment. If you're a starting teacher here in Palm Beach County, it's very hard. I hear the same thing for some firefighters and some other public service workers. They have a hard time affording this. So imagine what the impact is going to be when we have to increase the millage. Then that gets rolled down to the renters, and it's going to be extremely cost prohibitive. I get worried about what the side effects of this is going to be. Are we going to have a mass exodus out of Florida because nobody wants to rent down here in Florida? So are we going to have a shortage of workforce? And then when you look at the other side, on the commercial side and retail, if we're increasing their taxes, that's rolling down to small businesses. Our small businesses are also going to be bearing the brunt of having to pay for these tax increase, the millage increase because of property tax. So that means your local restaurant who employs maybe, 20 to 30 people is going to have an increase on their monthly rent. How is that going to impact our workers? How is that going to impact the livelihood of that small business? And unfortunately, what we're going to see is that our renters and our small businesses are going to end up being the ones carrying us moving forward. So this is something that is weighs heavily on me, and from what it sounds like, my fellow commissioners. But I'm really worried about the state of our small businesses out there, who, by the way, employ the most individuals in the county. I know we have some major employers, but it's really small businesses that provide a lot of the work to our community. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. I know that we're all kind of on the same page here, but I think sometimes it needs to be said out loud. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Flores. I will state that I am not on board with what my fellow commissioners think on this. I think completely opposite. And because I was grouped into everyone else, I will say that is not accurate. I think that we have to remember why this ballot initiative is so popular, why people love the idea of paying less on their homestead properties. It is because they are struggling to stay in their homesteaded properties. They are paying high insurance rates. They are paying high grocery store prices. They are paying high gas prices, and they are struggling. And essentially what this is saying is we are taking money from you to then pay to make it more affordable for renters in this county. This is a ownership rental. I understand and completely sympathize with affordability, but let's not forget affordability is multiple forms, not just this. And they are already struggling. That is why this ballot initiative is so important to people and why it is overwhelmingly popular, because people cannot afford their living situation as it is with cost of everything that keeps going up. And one of those things is taxes. This, I don't know, is the perfect solution. I do think there is a lot of great things that can come from this, but again, shifting money around. But let's not forget, it's not just renter affordability. We are talking about ownership, property owners, and their ability to afford their properties. People that have lived here a very long time being forced to move out of this county because they can't afford to be here anymore. And this is the state saying, we hear you, it shouldn't be this expensive. So again, I think that we need to remember people are struggling to pay their bills, people are struggling to make ends meet, and that in their priority, their ability to stay in their home is more important than services to others. That's why this is on the ballot, and then people will get to decide what is most important to them. I am not of the same mind. I do see pros and cons to everything. I can give you some cons, I can give you the pros to this. But let's not pretend this is just going to, the only benefit is to make it more expensive for renters. It's going to make it more affordable for homeowners. So let's not overlook that simple aspect. Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Dorothy, for this. I actually really enjoy spreadsheets, so not at all bored by this, but I'm sure it's hard for people at home to follow on some of this. I wanted to start by asking, because these are 2025 numbers, and you had mentioned last time you were seeing an uptick in homestead applications. I was just wondering, can you tell us how's that trending right now as far as what to expect for the numbers of actual homesteaded?
We're not seeing any significant uptick at this point.
So what we're working with should be pretty
Yeah,
realistic.
certainly once we have your millage rates and all the cities' millage rates, we'll be able to rerun these numbers for 2026.
Okay.
And as soon as we can do that, which will be later this summer with the proposed rates, which are usually in the end the final rates. Sometimes they move slightly, but we can run them again.
Okay. And so on the, let's see, it was on the homestead property count spreadsheet. I just wanted to double check on that because you have, it's number of parcels and then number of residential parcels. And I was just sort of crunching percentage numbers on those. So if anything is not a residential parcel, does that mean it is commercial?
Yes, and that would include apartment buildings. We consider those
The
commercial.
residential is
Single-family condominium, townhome, individually owned.
Okay, so anything else, apartments would be commercial?
Correct.
Okay, so all right, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Because for the county, I mean, it's 87% of the parcels are listed as residential.
Correct.
So
It's very normal, that your majority of your parcels, you'll find that also in all the cities.
Yeah, it's pretty similar, top to
Heavily
bottom.
residential in all of our communities. And that's only because, again, even a condominium is a residential unit in this number. So even a small condominium, if it's individually owned, it's a parcel, and if it's a parcel, it's in this residential count.
So on the others, though, would it also include the buildings that you mentioned were exempt, like
Oh, yes.
anything that's schools or county or city-owned churches?
Yes.
Okay.
So those would be in the large number, the 659.
Okay, because I guess I was hoping to get to like the number of parcels that would be considered commercial, which would be
Oh.
to that question with, maybe that's further number crunching you might could do.
We can.
Sorry to add another column, but.
No, it's
yeah.
quite all right. We can get you a breakdown of the difference between those two, what makes them up. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, just like the taxable versus any of the ones that, if it's owned by a city or if it's a school, I mean, that counts as a parcel, but it's not taxed, right? So anything that would be commercial taxable, that would be under, as Commissioner was asking about the 5% increase
Oh, sure.
versus what would be limited to 3%. Although I do know that the residential parcels could be 5 or 3, depending on if it's second home or a rental
Correct.
house.
So
Okay.
yes, included in that residential parcels are second homes, properties that are not homesteaded, because even someone lives there, it could be a home that is individually owned and rented. Okay, so it's residential. It's anything that is residential. So what will come under the 10 cap to 5 cap group will be commercial, industrial, vacant land, agriculture, and then snowbirds properties, homes that are not fully, they're not rented. I'm sorry, they could be rented. Or there's just somebody that comes 3 months a year and lives there. And then, of course, apartments and so forth. A lot of those that we think of as commercial.
Okay.
Office
It would be
towers.
helpful because comparing this sheet to the exemption revenue loss, I mean, it's actually quite fascinating because when you compare like Gulfstream and Haverhill, they have almost the same number of parcels and a similar percentage of residential. Haverhill, I think, has slightly more, yes, they have slightly more homesteaded, but the actual impact is 5% for Gulfstream and 51% for Haverhill.
And that's because the majority of the homesteaders in Haverhill are below that 250,000 threshold.
Right. And that's why anything that's above that, that municipality would still collect whatever is above the 250. So, and when you look at the impacts of these, I mean, I just sort of went, any municipality that was over 40%, it's not the ones that I actually kind of thought it would be. And there's some large ones that it's a huge impact to their budget, which again, as a county commissioner, maybe why am I focusing so much on cities, but we've had the discussion on what happens if some of these cities were to go under, so to speak, and then we would take it on. Like that's where it does sort of become an everybody problem, or a consideration at least that we have to take. So that's, comparing all of these, it is very helpful. And I think maybe also understanding why, a balance, and this is like a side note just on development and stuff, if there's a balance of commercial mixed in with residential, you do sort of have that. Although I don't love the idea of putting this on the backs of businesses either. And I just wanted to double check that I'm understanding on the cap that we were talking about, the 5% and the 3% caps, that's just on the appraised value, right?
Increase,
The increase.
year over year. So the 3%.
There's recapture in there too, right? Potential, like year over
Yes,
year, if it
correct.
really shoots up.
So the easiest way to explain it is all of us who have a homestead at the moment have a 3% cap. And that cap works where if my value goes from 400,000 to 500,000 market, like we, the property appraiser, determine that the sales in the neighborhood indicate we should raise the value of that property from 400 to 500, which would be an unusual increase. But if you're homesteaded, the 400 only goes up 3%, right? If you're not homesteaded at the moment, it can go up 10% on everything except the school board. Now, the 3% cap applies to everyone, including the school board, but the 10% doesn't. So, but the next year, so we would take you up to 400,000 plus 3%. The next year, we can come up another 3%, and even if the market value doesn't move until the two numbers meet, right? So that's what recapture is each year. So this is on the market value that we place on a property. And we disclose all of this on our website on PAPA. It's very clear. You can see the cap moving on the assessed line, but the market value may continue to rise.
Okay, and I bring that up because I did ask Sherry Brown, analyst, when we were talking about future rollback number, because rollback right now would be whatever we would take the millage down to collect exactly what we collected last year. So whatever that number is, it's a lower number because the values have gone up. But if this were to go into effect, I asked her what would rollback be for the next year, and it actually was like 4.85 would be the rollback. It's a higher number because there's more exemptions. So it's fascinating. I think it's a really good exercise for us, and even to look through how it affects a lot of the different cities, because to be frank, the very affluent areas, they're going to be fine. It's the areas where we do have most of our affordable housing that's left. Those cities are going to take the biggest cut. And, you know, like, this is something that we're all going to have to discuss together. And it's not just here. I mean, this is statewide. This is the whole state. I hope everyone's doing this same exercise when you meet with your other property appraisers. Hopefully they're doing this, or if not, show it to their commissioners, because it's going to be helpful. And I plan on making sure that all of our cities see this too. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dorothy, and thank you for all this analysis and work that you've done. A couple things. So can you explain how the school board tax is applied? Can you just, because I know that's the largest portion of my tax bill, and I think as you mentioned earlier, for most people.
So the school board has 2 millages that they levy, and they're listed on your bill. One says state effort, and one says local effort. The amount is around 6 mills a year. It is around that number at the moment total. Half of that, again, approximately, is the state effort, and half is the local effort. The 3 mills locally stays locally. The 3 mills for the state levy leave Palm Beach County and go to the state of Florida, who then divvies the money back out to communities, especially who may not have enough ad valorem revenue to operate their school system. So Palm Beach County has always been, as long as I have been here, what is called a donor county. So we provide more into the state revenue pot than necessarily comes back to Palm Beach County. But that raises all ships for the state. All other counties that might not have enough revenue are able to have a school system, and that's important. So the big distinction, though, for the school board is that they're collecting that revenue on all value increase except for homestead. So
if you're homesteaded are you still then the school board portion of that only limited to the 3%?
you're still paying the full 6 mills, but you're paying it on only the value that's on your capped value, your assessed value, which is that lower number that is only going up 3% a year. However, if you are a commercial property owner and your millage rate is 18 mills, 6 of which is the school, then for the 12 mills that's not the school, it only can go up to 10% a year on the value. So value goes up only 10% times that 12 mills. But if your value that year on a commercial property went up 20%, you're going to pay 6 mills on the 20%.
So there's no cap on non-homesteaded properties.
And that does not change if the ballot initiative passes and we reduce that from 10% to 5%. So a commercial property owner, again, a landlord, an office tower owner, a industrial property owner, a apartment building owner, is going to pay the full market increase each year on those 6 mills.
So there was a little discussion earlier about who's subsidizing who in how this system is working. I go back, I bought my house originally in 2005. And then there was the financial collapse and the real estate market here collapsed. So that there was trailing a little bit though. It trailed, as the assessments went down.
The hardest years for us were 08 and 09, and that was based on the crash that was occurring starting in 06 into 07. 07, I think, was the really bad year where values declined significantly. And then you all, because again, we're following the market, so we're basing it on, so on January 1st, we're actually looking at data from the prior year.
So do you know how much you cut in property values during that period of time?
I can certainly look it up. I don't remember, but it was double-digit negative declines, percentage-wise.
I want to say my home was probably almost 50% reduced in assessed value. And then from then on out, I locked in at a 3% increase. So from even though property values then rebounded, came back up, I'm now paying my ad valorem portion is based on what happened after the crash. Yeah, anybody who didn't sell their property had the same thing. So I understand and understand everybody is struggling. But then you start to look at, I was looking through, and I hopefully you'll share this with the League of Cities, this work that you have done, but just as an example, and this is, I found absolutely fascinating in your work. Unincorporated Palm Beach County, a 69% drop in revenues. So anybody living in unincorporated Palm Beach County should expect a 69% drop in their services, because that's all they're paying. I mean, they're paying less. Everybody else would be subsidizing them if they continue to hold their services at that level. But the cities, Boynton Beach, almost 30%, 28%. Green Acres, 41%. Haverhill, 51%. Hypoluxo, 28%. Lake Clark Shores, 59%. Pahokee, 33%. I mean, these numbers, Westlake, 37%. Royal Palm Beach, 41% drop in their revenues. And as mentioned, and I think Commissioner Woodward mentioned this, that they dissolve, and then their assets become part of the county, but their liabilities also become part of the county. Their liabilities, including their pensions, become part of the county. So that means you're going to now serve more people with the same amount of dollars that you served less people. It's the lack of thought of how this impacts this whole system is, to me, they passed this within a day, I think. So I don't think anybody was able to really analyze what's being put in front of the voters and what that really means. And I think it's important for people to understand it. And they may still want to vote for it, and understanding that they need to, or they want to save that money. But there is going to be significant impacts to the level of service that's going to be delivered, and where it's going to get delivered. Because some communities are going to, as you said, are going to be relatively held harmless because of their high valuations, and they'll be fine. But then you're going to have other communities that are going to struggle mightily, and then for some, they will cease to exist. And I don't know how you continue to provide that level of service without having to raise, fees and other things. But like I tell people, we'll get through this. We will figure this out. People may not like the result at the end of the day of who's paying what and how, but we will continue to operate. And then my last question to you is regarding the constitutional offices. Is there any protection for you all in there?
Protection?
For your budgets?
Oh, so our budgets are part of your budget. I mean, protection, I don't know what that means.
Well,
Certainly,
for example, the law enforcement supposedly is being held harmless. Is property appraiser held harmless?
property appraiser, the constitutionals have been noted as a part of the county's budgets. That is all I know.
So you're not being held harmless, so impacts to your office's ability to operate. If we're reducing our budget by 20%, a 20% reduction to your budget, a 20% reduction to supervisor of elections, clerk of the court, I understand, gets funding, also some state funding, so it'd be different, a little bit different for them. But have you all gone through the, if you or any other constitutionals have gone through looking at what that would,
Excuse me, Commissioner Weiss. Administrator Abruzzo, I think, would like to comment on your question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Commissioner, first and foremost, you are correct in the passage of the bill. Senator Powell, Senator Sachs, and myself know this from Tallahassee. Anytime there's a large bill, they have the revenue estimating conference that puts a price tag or the impact on a bill. And to have one of the most game-changing pieces of legislation, constitutional amendment, there was not a dollar figure at the time that the legislators got to see when they passed the amendment for the voters to vote. And now that that has come to light, it's in the billions of dollars. Your comments about debt in the city that we would be absorbing for the numbers that property appraiser Jack's put in front of us, there's no doubt that we will be taking on multiple municipalities if this passed. And what I would say to you, my bosses, the board, that if this passes, the very first thing we need to do is to convene meetings with those municipalities. They would have the ability to continue to saddle themselves with debt, meaning they need to come to us sooner rather than later, or we would be stuck with even a larger bill. And you are correct. We will be running a much larger geographic area on actual less dollars than we have today in our budget. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. Well, and then lastly, and I think you may have mentioned this. So condos are residential, but if they're being used for short-term rental, then they become commercial?
No, not in these numbers. In these numbers, we're just contemplating that they're residential. I mean, they are still residential. You still can sleep there. It's still a home with a kitchen and so forth. These aren't contemplating, when we classify a property, we first classify it as what it is, its predominant uses, which is, this is a condo, it's residential, we're gonna add it to our residential count, right? Does that make sense? So when you say to me, do they become commercial? Well, if they're not homesteaded, they are already in a kind of higher bucket of commercial, but there's still a residential unit first. Yeah.
Okay.
Because on any given day, it could become a, do you see?
Somebody can sell it and it
Right.
become a
Yeah,
somebody
absolutely.
homesteads it. Understood. Okay.
It's more a property type distinction, I think, would be a better way to, maybe that's a better thing to call it, is it's a property type. It's a type of property, it's residential.
Well, thank you very much. This is enlightening.
Thank you.
Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I did want to just make a statement. This will be the last thing I say on this particular topic. And, you know, we did Parents' Day earlier, and I think about my mother. And my mother was a wonderful parent. And she used to say that understanding is the best thing in the world. And I just want to be clear that I don't think I did, or I don't know if any of us have particularly taken a position one way or the other on this topic. I will tell you that the mayor indicated earlier, this is up to the voters, but we have asked questions with regard to potential outfalls of what could happen. It really is in the hands of voters to make the decision as to how they go with this particular ballot initiative and constitutional amendment. And there are some likely negative externalities that would happen. Potentially, the administrator indicated that we would absorb some of the municipalities. There are 39 municipalities in Palm Beach County that will probably not be able to handle themselves, and we would end up absorbing those municipalities. So again, just to be clear, I don't know if my colleagues have, but I have not taken a position because according to the law, we can't. But we have asked questions with regard to what the potentials would be if this were to pass in November. Either way you slice it, we will still have to live here in Palm Beach County, those of us who can, and the rest we will figure out. But we just want to be clear, I'm clear, that, yeah, I have not taken a particular position, but I have asked questions that would allow us to educate as opposed to advocate one way or the other. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. And I very much agree. I think it's important we all ask as many questions so we have a full understanding of what this means moving forward. Commissioner Sachs?
Thank you. I'm so glad that we're having this conversation because we really don't even have a viable amendment in front of us. And the reason is this. One, because the ballot language has not even been approved by a court of law. It's already been looked at by a court of law and said it was not clear as to exactly the repercussions if this amendment was passed. Secondly, the residency requirement is huge. This is a constitutional issue. So the way that this amendment was passed by the legislature and the idea that our governor is not advocating for it fully indicates to me, personally, not any of my colleagues with me, but definitely to me, we don't really have a clear-cut amendment from the state. With that in mind, education, yes. Advocacy, no. Education, yes. Information, yes. Your packet is excellent. You will be doing more of these, I'm sure, especially through your statewide organization. We are a donor county. We give money to other counties, probably to other states if they have an idea of it, but we certainly give our tax money to other counties. I was up in Tallahassee, I know. So they're not going to be so quick to shrink our monies that we hold in this great county of Palm Beach County. So let us not rush to judgment. I don't know if I'm for it. I don't have anything to be for or against. This is, to me, an idea that has been formulated in the Tallahassee, but is not concrete yet. Not until our attorney gives us an opinion, not to the attorney from the FAC or your organization as well, or from the Florida Supreme Court, because this residency issue is a constitutional issue. So before I join anybody on this board to say I'm for or against it, I need to have more certainty from our state legislators. And when that happens, by that time, if it's still going to be on the ballot, we will already have been educated and informed by our great constitutional officers, by the Florida Association of Counties. There's excellent analysis of it. So until then, let's see what Tallahassee can produce. If they can produce something that is constitutionally confirmed, then I'll say if I'm for or against it, if it's legal for me to say it. Maybe even if it's illegal for me to say it. I don't care.
On that
This is
note, Commissioner
important, but
Sachs,
anyway,
Attorney Audie would like to be recognized.
I can do that because that's a supposition for the future. I'm not saying I'm doing it now. That's why I'm not, because there's really nothing to discuss. I want to thank you for coming here, Ms. Jacks. I want to thank the mayor for allowing this to happen. We have a busy day, but I think that this is one of the most important things we can do is to inform and educate our constituents until they figure out what they're doing in Tallahassee. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Audie.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Commissioner Powell's inquiry earlier. So the measures that are before the court has to make a determination as to whether or not it meets the requirements of law. If it doesn't, the court will decide based on, among other factors, whether or not the timing is too close to the election, and if that's the case, it will likely enjoin the measure from being put on the ballot. If there's sufficient time, then it goes back to the legislature. The legislature has created provisions for certain constitutional amendments to be redone by the Attorney General. And during that time, the court retains jurisdiction to if there's a challenge from the electors or from any interested party as to revised language by the Attorney General.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just want, for the record, just want to say that in Palm Beach County, since 2020, we've actually lowered the millage rate. In 2020, we were 4.7815. We lowered in 2023 to 4.71, and then in 2024 to 4.5. And in the same time of doing that, the growth in population here in Palm Beach County has not been reflected in the growth of staff in Palm Beach County. We have done more with less. So I just want, if anybody has questions about our budget and who gets what, I invite you to go onto the county's website and look up the budget book. There's a budget in brief going back, I don't know how many years. As a matter of fact, that's how I just pulled up these numbers, was I went to our budget in brief and pulled up our millage rate. But the county has been responsible, and I think that's, as Commissioner Sachs said, we are a donor county, and there are a lot of cities in our county that are donor cities, that we are supporting other counties and other municipalities around the state. But I just want you to know that I am not for large government. I am for smaller taxes, but I am also for providing services for our residents because that's why they're here. But I just want our residents to know that over the years, we have reduced the millage rate and we have not increased our staff. So we're doing more with less. Thank you.
So no further lights, but I will, I guess, conclude and just say thank you for being here as our property appraiser and giving us all these numbers and educating us on a lot. There's some conflicting thoughts. Again, I think we should also consider homeowners in this, especially when we're making them pay taxes is taking their money to provide things that they don't maybe consider essential services. And so the legislature has also put conditions upon, should that pass, what we are even allowed to spend money on. And I think some residents are in favor of that. And quite a few are in favor of paying, especially property owners, less taxes. Now, how that shakes out will be up to this board and what that will look like should this ballot initiative pass. But I would also like to remind people, as a small business owner, when there is more money in the economy, meaning property owners potentially have more money to do stuff with, they can frequently visit and put money back into the economy by going to restaurants, by going to businesses, by spending that money. So it's not just a one-sided thing. I would like to remind people of that. And I do remember people all got stimulus checks. The purpose of a stimulus check was to stimulate the economy, to add more money into it. And I think the legislature has tried to lay that out. I am not saying that this is perfect, and I am not saying that this solves a lot of problems, but I want people to recognize that property owners are paying for all these services and all these programs, and we're telling them, you need to keep paying for those, even though you can't afford to stay in your home. And I don't think that's necessarily the right approach. So I would like to see our property owners be able to pay less taxes. And I will conclude this agenda item with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor? May I be recognized?
Yes.
I believe a motion to receive and file is needed on that presentation.
Vice Mayor Woodward has made the motion. Commissioner Powell has made the second. All in favor? Commissioner Flores, are you still there? Please see that the
I'm here.
motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Moving on to OFMB, the Office of Financial Management and Budget. Just so everyone knows, we're going to break at 12:30. Do we have any cards on these items, Commissioner? Okay.
Mayor,
Commissioner Marino?
if it would please airports, after this, we're going to take up capital improvement, which I think is going to
Does
take
anyone
long.
need a presentation from airports?
No.
Would you like to?
So what we first need to do is
Is reorder.
the agenda to take airports.
Next.
So I would like to make a motion to reorder the agenda to bring airports forward.
I have a motion by Commissioner Marino and a second by Commissioner Sachs. All in favor? Any opposed? Please say that that motion carries 7-0. Commissioner Marino, would you like to make the
Yes,
next
so we
motion?
have airports items are number 6C1. So may I make a motion to approve 6C1?
I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor? Any opposed? See that motion carries 7-0.
And item 6C2, I make a motion to approve Amendment 1 and delegate authority to the county administrator.
And to include A and B?
That would include yes, that is A and B.
I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 7-0.
And item 6C3, A and B, approve a contract with Ranger Construction and delegate authority to the county administrator.
A motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Sherry.
All right, back to OFMB Day, although I think every day is OFMB Day. So item 6B1 is allowing us to refund an existing bond for savings. We estimate that the savings could be about 10.8% or about $1 million a year. So yay for us that the interest rates moved right on this particular item.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Woodward, a second by Commissioner Sacks. All in favor? Any opposed? See that the motion carries 7-0.
All right, so then I'm going to bring up some of my peers to talk about our capital plan.
These are the capital improvement projects.
Yes. Okay, I'll try to move through my slides kind of quickly, and we'll move you right into facilities, parks, engineering, with some of their more detail. Of course, you know we always adopt we have a 5-year CIP. The first year is what's adopted and included in our budget. Those projects will carry forward until the projects are completed. Our total 5-year CIP is about $3.3 billion. That's everything, including our enterprise funds. Your budget package that went out with this today's budget presentation on page 104 through 115 gives you the details, and on page 116 starts what active projects we currently have, so there is quite a bit of detail there. And then we also break down the $3.3 billion by our various departments, and you can see that, you know, facilities is about 18%, engineering another 18%, water utilities is about 25%, so that detail is there. In the general fund, we fund about $124 million for our proposed 2027 budget. We put about 38% of that into engineering and another 24% into parks, Office of Technology Innovation 20%, and then facilities and public safety makes up the rest of the $124 million. Just our history of where we have funded, starting back in 2007, where we would fund almost $82 million. Of course, the recession we were talking about earlier with our property appraisers presentation, where we saw our capital funding drop to almost nothing in a few years. During that 7-year period of 2008 through 2014, we only funded $79 million, which is less than what we did for 1 year in 2007, but it has been a goal of this board and for us in OFMB to get our funding back up to where we think it should be, and we could always use more money in capital, but $124 million is a good spot for us.
If I may, Madam Mayor?
You may.
I just wanted to point out that slide and what it says at the top, ad valorem funding for capital projects. The state CFO clearly stated in his press conference here that we do not use ad valorem for capital improvement projects.
Wait, what did he say?
He said we do not use ad valorem dollars for capital improvement projects, and we don't know our own budget because we
So
don't.
what money would we be using?
I just wanted for the public to point out to the top of the slide.
Okay, thank you.
So over the last few years, we've talked about issuing bonds for a few of our larger projects, Airport Center 3, the South County Admin Complex, this building. A little over $500 million was always in our plan, but our county administrator mentioned in June at our budget workshop that we may want to stop and take a look at our capital project funds to see what happens in November, and that's what really kind of brought about this presentation. Our existing non-ad valorem debt service, so it's about $69 million in the current budget, $71 million in our proposed 2027, and then it continues on with a little bit of a drop in 2030, but the top line is the general fund, which I'll take over to the next page just to show you what the general fund funding looks like. $43.5 million in the current year. In 2027, another $45.4. If we continued on the plan that we originally said, we would be issuing 2 bonds for Airport Center 3, the governmental center, which would take in 2028 our debt service up to around $64 million. And then in 2029, another $15.8 million for South Counties, taking it to $71.5. We're going to talk about deferring those until after the election in November and see where we are, because it would be hard to add those debt service if we're also cutting our property taxes from that standpoint. And from there, I'm going to pass it over to Jennifer from Facilities and let her kind of lead us on.
Hello. Thank you, Sherry. For the record.
Excuse me one second, Jennifer. Vice Mayor Woodward, you recognized?
Sorry, just one quick question on the previous one. How do we pay the debt service on this? This is not part of the debt service that goes on the tax bill?
Correct. This is within the general fund, so this is the non-voted by the public. So this is our non-ad valorem where we, as a board, can make that decision.
Okay, so because we do have 2 bond proposals that are going on the ballot, the parks and the library, and that would be added as the debt service, this is something separate?
Completely separate. This is all within the general fund, and those would be accounted for in a debt service fund separate and out of that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that people understood what the debt service on their tax bill was versus what this is.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. For the record, Jennifer Ferriel, Facilities Development and Operations Director. As in light of the recent news, staff really wanted to make sure that we took a very conservative approach in terms of how we address projects moving forward. And of course, unless otherwise directed by this governing body, we have taken the approach that we are going to continue working on projects that, one, have been fully funded, and that, of course, they meet one of the following objectives, and that is specifically for projects that require any emergency work, any R&R, any end-of-life building system, any projects where the delay might create a service disruption, or anything that's already under construction. So that's just a baseline approach. You will likely see contracts that are going to come in the near future with some high dollar values. That may be, this building, we may need to replace some plumbing or air conditioner or whatever the case may be. We're going to bring those forward because those are considered R&R and necessary for us to continue with our services. As we were putting together this presentation, we wanted to make sure that we organize it in a manner that was consistent. So we developed 3 categories, which you will see in the projects today as we present them. We'll have 3 categories that are being recommended. One, of course, is to advance the project, and we will make that recommendation based on a very, operational needs if buildings are end of life or we have a need where we need to do that. Proceed with planning and design. That specifically, obviously, continue with designing the project. What we will also do is, in the event, once that process is done, that we would come back to the board before we proceed with the next phase. Typically, we do our planning and design, and we go straight into procurement for construction. In this situation, we would come back to this board to seek further direction, which is not standard to what we normally do. And then, of course, defer. This is a project that has not yet been awarded, is not time sensitive, and we can defer that to a later date. However, what we do want to point out is that some projects we will absolutely need to come back in November to discuss. Some projects need a lot of, we cannot afford to continue to delay making some investment, this building being one of them. So come November, we'll have to make some decisions in terms of how we proceed. And as we were determining what specific criteria we were going to put the projects into, we considered an array of different areas, the cost and the risk to a service disruption if the project was delayed, any end-of-life facilities, any systems or infrastructure conditions. We looked at the current phases of the project, any prior investment that has been made. Has there been any funding where we have future expenditure deadlines where we need to expend those dollars? All of these different criteria were evaluated as we made our recommendations. And with that, I'll get it specifically into FDO projects. Just a little bit about FDO, just for the members of the public. FDO is one of the 5 construction departments in the county, and it serves as the sole internal service provider and vertical construction for general government and, of course, our constitutional offices. Not only do we implement projects that are budgeted within FDO's budget, but we also utilize operating department budgets, including Parks and Rec, libraries, fire rescue, public safety, and so forth. Right now, we have a total of 532 active projects and a total of $1.4 billion that is current of budgeted active projects under our purview. Going straight into our projects, and we'll go one of them one by one. First and foremost, this government center here, the Robert Wiseman Government Center. We are currently into the design development of this project, and as it stands today, we have a total estimated project cost, and this is all in. This includes design, A&E, and construction. We have a total budget of a total projected cost of $254 million. We have about $103 million available. That's mostly surtax dollars that are available within our coffers. We've expended about $2.4 million. That's for our A&E services, and we have a $150 million funding gap. For this particular project, staff is making the recommendation to defer. However, it is one of those situations where we're absolutely going to have to come back in November just to determine how we're going to proceed. Is it within the existing scope or reduced scope, or to identify any additional funding if necessary? There are a lot of major systems in this building that need some support. The next project is Airport Center 3. That is where our property appraiser and tax collector, it's a future home for them and for some of our other general government offices. We're currently in design development. We have a total estimated project cost of $149 million. $9 million is currently available, and we have a funding gap of $140 million. For this particular project, staff is recommending to proceed only with planning and design. We have the money available, so we're not asking for any other dollars. It's not an investment loss, because should we build that in the future, it is funding that, there are plans that we will have in place and be able to utilize in the future. The new medical examiner's office, this project is currently in design development. We have an estimated project cost of approximately $47.3 million. We have about $15 million available and a shortfall of $32 million. This is the only project where FDO is recommending to move forward with, where we have a funding gap. This project is at end of life at this moment. We are in a situation where if we don't proceed, we could lose our accreditation, which is not something that we are willing to jeopardize as a county. But it is one where we'll have to determine a final funding strategy.
Excuse me, Jennifer. Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you. Sorry to stop you, Jennifer. Real quick, and I know we brought this medical examiner's office up. How did we get in a position where we are this far past end of life? Do you have the historical information on how do we get here on that? Can somebody tell me, because it seems like we're in an emergency situation, and I know that's what at least I was told, but how does this happen?
I'm going to have Eric McClellan, our assistant director, come. He has the historical knowledge on the project.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Very good question, Commissioner Powell, and let me walk this board back through some recent history. We actually came to the board with a workshop on this project in 2024. At the time, we were planning to do a minor renovation and expansion of the facility. We got direction to proceed. After further study, it was determined by our A&E consultants that the building simply did not have useful life. We would spend more money trying to rehab this building than we would if we built new. We brought that decision to this board. We're given direction to proceed, and that's the direction we've been proceeding on ever since.
You brought the decision to move the location? forward to?
Forward with a new facility in lieu of the renovation. So Jennifer mentioned we have approximately $15 million in the bank. That was done with the intention of doing a renovation.
And did we identify a location at that time?
We were going to reconstruct on site.
Okay, all right. I just want to be clear because I'm confused about something.
So there has been some recent discussion about location and siting of this replacement facility. We have learned through the renovation of the PBSO headquarters facility in recent years, and as a result of their continued growth, that their operations at the Central Detention Facility, or CJC facility, is very parking constrained. And as a result of reconstructing this facility on site, that would essentially generate demand for a parking structure. This would actually be a step that would probably allow us to avoid or defer need for that parking structure.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. We can revisit that later or further. You can continue. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please proceed, Jennifer.
Thank you. So yes, again, we would have to determine a final funding strategy for the funding gap that's associated with the new medical examiner's office. The new Emergency Operations Center, a new EOC, we had been in discussions of potentially designing a new EOC. That project is currently at goal setting. We have a total estimated project cost of approximately $232 million. That's again, a very preliminary estimate. However, we do have about $33 million available. That's just for some funds that we have budgeted for the existing EOC. And obviously we have a $199 million funding gap. Staff is recommending to proceed with planning and design only. Obviously, we would come back to this governing body should there be before we move forward to the next phase, but we are proceeding or recommending to proceed with planning and design. We have plenty of funding to do so at this time. The next project is the South County Admin Complex. It is currently in design development. We have a total estimated project cost of $231 million. $13 million is currently available, and we have a funding gap of approximately $217. Staff is recommending to defer this project, but this is another one. Well, in November, we're going to have to make some decisions. That building needs some critical work and some major systems that need to be addressed. Animal care and control, and we're bringing up the next two projects just because you will likely see a GMP. There are no funding gaps, they're fully funded, but you will see some construction documents in the very near future. So we're recommending both for animal care and control and for the 45th Street complex to proceed, despite the fact that there is no funding gap. Wanted to bring it to your attention so you understand in the event that from here to November, you'll see these two contracts moving forward. And finally, I just want to provide a quick recap of the projects that FDO is advancing or recommending to advance where we have a shortfall. Again, that's only the medical examiner's office, and that's for a total of $32 million. Thank you for your time. With that, engineering and public works.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Jennifer, the one, can you comment, please? Can you expand upon for the 45th Street complex? Project completion is tied to the Vanderbilt obligation. Where are we with that?
Right. In order for us, contractually, we're obligated to relocate the existing community services facility. So in order for us to do that, then we would have to relocate the folks to this project. So there's a contractual obligation.
No, I realize that. What are the benchmarks that Vanderbilt needs to hit in order for us to move, and have they done that?
Correct. So up to date, they are up to date with their obligations. The next big targeted deadline is, I believe, October or November, where they have to provide us with their master plan. I did speak to Vanderbilt last week, and they did indicate that they would be submitting a master plan to us for review before that deadline. So far, they are on schedule and on time with all of their deliverables.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to proceed for the next minute, or do you think this would be a time to break, guys, and then we will reconvene at 2 p.m.?
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome to Inside PBC, where we highlight what's going on inside Palm Beach County. The countywide transportation